All right, Pat Murphy breaking down the spring game as we head into Saturday, noon Eastern time at Ohio Stadium. All right, for me, the quarterback position's the obvious one. You at least get to see how the guys can put velocity on the ball, touch on the ball, throw on time, throw accurately, even if you don't necessarily get a great feel for how much of a command they have of the offense. You can just see the raw throwing ability and elusiveness in the backfield. Also, line play is difficult for me to gauge in a spring game, especially when you're splitting up starters, especially along the offensive front. But considering the struggles in the secondary last year and considering this may be the best wide receiver unit in the country, to see those guys go up against each other and to see if the secondary can hold up against those wide receivers, I think might be telling.
Absolutely. I think quarterback is always going to be interesting. Even if you have a returning guy, I think fans are always interested in how the quarterback's progressing and how the guy behind him looks. And obviously when you have a battle like this with three guys who haven't really played, that's certainly going to be one of the major talking points from the spring game. But the secondary has been, 1B to that 1A throughout the spring because of the struggles last year. Obviously, Sevyn Banks is hurt. Cameron Brown's still recovering from an injury. So in terms of cornerbacks, you're going to have some young guys in there. Ryan Watts, Legend Cavazos. There's a handful of guys that I think they're going to rotate in. And what does it look like schematically? I think will be really interesting as well. Do we get to see maybe some of the wrinkles that Ohio State has apparently tried to work in, or some of the change-ups is what Ryan Day calls it. I don't know if we'll see a ton of that, but I will just be interested to see how this all works, how it looks, everything like that in the secondary. And then another position, and we've talked about it to some degree, but I'm really interested to just kind of get a feel for this pecking order at running back. I think at this point, Master Teague will be the guy to at least get things going. But, we've talked before about, there's a lot of talent behind him, and can he hold off guys? Last year he wasn't really able to hold off Trey Sermon by the end of the year. So I'll be watching to see that. These two freshmen, they had a scrimmage over the weekend, Travion Henderson and Evan Pryor. Apparently both did very well. Travion Henderson had his black stripe removed, which is Ohio State's kind of special way of saying you've earned the right to be a Buckeye. So that means he's doing things the right way. Evan Pryor apparently was impressive too. So I'm interested to see these guys run a little bit more. Mayan Williams, who looked good last year, but we haven't seen, I think, only 10 carries. He'll be entering his second year. And then Marcus Crowley, Steel Chambers. You've seen flashes from both of them, but just not enough sample size. So a spring game is a time when you can at least get a sense, and especially with a running back. Now, if they're not tackling, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but it'll be interesting to watch all of these guys and see if there is any sense of how they're breaking down and what each guy can do to help this offense.
Are they going to have a full media complement at the game? Are they allowing just whomever is typically credentialed?
It sounds like it will be limited to some degree, but not as much as it was, during the fall. We applied for credentials late last week, I think. So we haven't heard back for sure on how many people they're going to allow in there, but it does sound like things are becoming a bit more relaxed. I don't know if anyone's ever been in that Ohio State press box, but it is pretty big. So, there's no visiting media, obviously, for this. I don't imagine there'll be a ton of national media trying to make their way to Columbus like there is for some of the Buckeye games in the fall. So you can kind of spread people out, I think, a little bit more, maybe able to get more outlets, more people in there.
Folks, we'll be live after the spring game to take your calls and talk Ohio State football. Pat Murphy on the line from Bucknuts 247 Sports. You know the brand, you know the content over there, so please head on over there and catch his work and everybody else there at 247 Sports. Bucknuts. Pat, appreciate you stopping by. Enjoy the game on Saturday.
All right, we'll do. You too.